Hi everyone, my name is Vida Tobe, and today I'll be presenting a novel approach to interactive data visualization using color changing inks, based on the work by researchers Patnaik, Peng, and Nicholas. Their research is titled Sense Making Sans Power Interactive Data Visualization Using Color Changing Ink. And their research basically explores how we can create interactive visualizations on paper and other print media without relying on digital displays or power sources. So let's start with why this research is important. Even with our digital technology, paper is still everywhere. Think about books, newspapers, and even financial transactions. Paper remains a fundamental medium in our daily lives. Paper has some inherent advantages. It's easy to carry, it doesn't need batteries, and provides excellent image quality. It prints media that boosts high resolution comparable to or even exceeding digital displays. It is also reflective and reduces eye strain. However, the major drawback of paper is its static nature. You can't change the data once it's printed. And this is where color changing inks come in. According to the researchers, it offers a way to make paper-based visualizations interactive. So, what exactly are these color changing inks? According to the writers of the article, they are special inks that react to things like heat, light, moisture, or pressure by changing color. Their change is in response to external stimuli. And this simple property opens up a world of possibilities for creating interactive experiences on printed materials without needing any electronic components. These inks can be seen in things like color changing toy cars, which researchers are exploring how to use them for data visualization. So, to understand how to create visualizations with these inks, we need to talk about some basic design principles, marks, and channels. In data visualization, marks are the shapes we use to represent data like dots on a scatter plot or bars on a bar chart. Channels are the visual properties of those marks that we can change, like color, size, or position to convey different information. Color changing inks are powerful because they let us change these visual channels on paper, creating dynamic and interactive graphics. So, how do color changing inks work? The way these inks work is that they create changes that are similar to how digital images use transparency or alpha composition. Think of it like layering inks. When a color changing ink is visible, you see its color. But when it becomes transparent or disappears, it reveals the layer underneath. This appearance and disappearance is controlled by the external stimulus like heat or light, and this behavior is also similar to alpha compositions used in digital images. Now let's look at how we can use these inks to make marks appear or disappear on a visualization. So according to the researchers, if we want a mark to appear when activated, we can use an ink that becomes visible when stimulated, or we can hide a regular ink mark under a layer of ink that becomes transparent when stimulated. Similarly, if to make a mark disappear, we can either cover it with an ink that becomes opaque when stimulated, or simply use an ink that fades away when stimulated. So there are many examples of how we can use color changing inks to change the visual properties of marks. We can change the position of a mark by making it disappear in one location and appear in the other. Also, by using thermochromic and photochromic inks to alter marks, we can change the color of a mark by using an ink that changes color or disappears. We can even change the length or area of a mark by strategically using inks to reveal or hide parts of it. The article I read also further mentioned how users can interact with these visualizations. Thermochromic inks, which react to heat, can be activated by touch, making them ideal for interactive displays where users can change the visualization with their hands. They can also react to environmental heat, like a display that changes throughout the day as the temperature shifts. Photochromic inks, which react to light, are perfect for outdoor displays that change in response to sunlight. However, there are some important considerations to keep in mind when working with these inks. So the article stated that the first is temporality, and that is that the color change doesn't happen instantly, it takes a few seconds. Secondly, while most inks will revert back to the original color, this process can also be slow. So some inks even change permanently. Thirdly, the color change is gradual, not abrupt, which can create intermediate states. And finally, when we come to inconsistencies, the color change might not be perfect. And this could lead to certain mismatch or mishaps in the visualization. To create more sophisticated visualizations, we can combine different types of inks. So regular inks can be used alongside color changing inks to create static elements or to max and blend different parts of the visualization. We can even combine multiple color changing inks that react to different stimuli, like a visualization that you know changes in response to both heat and light. Um, I don't have that to show right now, but there will be further visualizations to prove that as we progress in the presentation. The challenge, however, with this is that combining inks can be tricky, as it can be difficult to predict how they will interact. Moving on, let's look at some examples of how these color changing inks can be used to create interactive visualizations. So the researchers created 4 prototypes, which include an interactive newspaper, which is a line graph that responds to touch. They also created an interactive book, which is a scatter plot that changes, a billboard with a pie chart that adapts to day and night, and a 3D sculpture that changes its appearance based on the time of the day. So let's look at each one of them. So this is the visual representation of the interactive newspaper prototype, and it shows a closer look to the right. With this particular one, it uses a thermochromic ink line graph to visualize data, and in this case is COVID-19 cases. So over here, users can touch the graph to filter the data for specific regions and reveal more details, allowing for a more interactive and personalized experience. This is the interactive book prototype, and it uses a thermochromic ink-based scatter plot in a book and toggles views between two data sets with touch. So this basically demonstrates how color changing inks can be used to present multiple layers of information in a book format. So by touching the page, users can swift between different data sets, effectively turning the page into a dynamic display. For the third prototype, it showcases a dynamic billboard that uses photochromic ink. The pie chart changes its data depending on whether it's day or night, making it a great example of a visualization that can adapt to its surroundings. And finally, the dynamic data sculpture is a 3D printed model that uses both photochromic and thermochromic inks. And it displays different animals depending on the time of the day, showcasing a complex interaction between multiple stimuli and color changing inks. Moving on to the broader implications of this research, in terms of opportunities, color changing inks offer a compelling alternative for creating interactive visualizations in situations where traditional displays um, are impracticable or unavailable due to the low-tech, cost-effective solution that interactive data visualization brings. They can also complement existing digital displays, expanding display areas, or providing dynamic output on non-traditional surfaces. However, the limitations are that the technology is not yet widely accessible for printing due to its incompatibility with current consumer printers and its high cost of commercial printing. Also, the color quality of some inks need improvement since there is a possibility of a washed out or dull look of some of the inks. And there might also be challenges related to user interaction and discoverability. In conclusion, this research demonstrates the potential of color changing inks to create a new generation of interactive visualizations without relying on power or on computation. So, this technology has the potential to impact various fields and pave a way for data everywhere. Therefore, in my opinion, I would say that future research should focus on making this technology more accessible, improving its performance, and ensuring that user studies are conducted to evaluate the effectiveness of these visualizations. Thank you, and I'm open to any questions.
Well, thank you. That's interesting. I hope they have ink that reacts faster and maybe have 3 or 4 colors depending on what you do. I don't know. You squeeze it, it gets a different color. You heat it up, different color, and so forth. But yeah, that's an interesting approach. You know, no computers, yet we still do visualization. So that's a new course next semester. Everybody, visualization without, I'm kidding, visualization without computers. But thank you so much for the presentation. And